Welcome to another episode of the Media Books podcast. In this podcast episode, I am doing a sort of virtual case study on one of our most recent website launches. Today, I interviewed Carmen Heydary from Woodfern Accounting Solutions. We talked about her cohesive brand photography, and Squarespace, kind of how it was all brought together to create a website that I am so proud of. She is so much fun to talk to. Check out this episode. You're going to love it. Welcome to the Media Books podcast, the only place on the internet where creative accounting isn't a bad thing. Owning a virtual firm today means having a professional and modern online presence, and in this podcast, we talk about how to do just that. My name is Kristen Corey, and I'm the owner of Media Books, a media agency that provides creativity exclusively to accounting firms. And if you're an accounting firm owner, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Carmen Heydary is the founder and lead CPA behind Woodfern Accounting Solutions. She has experience in public accounting as an auditor at KPMG, but like so many of us, her life took an exciting turn with the arrival of her first son, and this prompted her to reassess her priorities. In the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, she made the decision to step away from KPMG and start her entrepreneurial journey. This is when Woodfern Accounting Solutions was born. Woodfern Accounting Solutions is not her only hustle. She also runs an Airbnb out of the Triad area in North Carolina. Beyond the professional, she is the proud parent of 2 kiddos and wife to another hard-working entrepreneur. I am so excited to talk with you today, Carmen. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah. So Carmen is one of my custom web design clients. And as part of this case study episode, I kind of wanted to dig into her metamorphosis. That sounds like such a lame word. I wish I didn't use that word. her change from like starting out this web design process, going through it, and then now being on the other end and talking about just her experience, what she learned, what she liked, what she didn't like. I've told her to be completely honest. So yeah, there is one thing though that I actually did not mention in her intro, and that is she has a bit of a design background. And so with that design background, you may be wondering, why did she ask someone else to design her website? And so Carmen, why would you outsource this sort of service when you can just see like a corner of her house right now in the video, but if you go look at her Airbnb, it is beautiful. She clearly knows what she's doing when it comes to design. Why have someone else do your website?
Yeah, so I do come from like a design family. My mom is an artist and also did interior design. So I just have interior design in my blood. I love designing, have that creative mindset. It's why I help creatives every day, because I can relate to them and I'm half one of them. But yes, I have that design in the eye, but I don't have it when I'm writing. Like I hate writing. I hate creative writing. I hate all of that. And I'm terrible at it. So I'm just going to I just admitted it. And it was really helpful to be able to use you and be able to talk to you in my own language. And you were able to put it in beautiful words that were seamlessly just vibing throughout the whole website. And you also got my important points across, which was awesome. So I really, really, really appreciated that. But yeah, definitely once we got into it, I was ready to kind of do some edits and stuff with the design to make it look beautiful. But yeah, I needed help writing. Yeah. And that's why I contacted you. And I needed help getting my story across effectively.
I mean, that's kind of one of the biggest challenges for web design is that you need to have the web design piece, you need to have the marketing piece. And then, specifically why we serve accountants is you need to understand the industry. And so you were able to speak accounting lingo, and I was able to really translate it. And that's our, honestly, that's our shtick at Media Books, is that we take the accounting boring concepts and we make it digestible for business owners. But yeah, that was the thing. typically a lot of our clients come to us and they don't like design or creative piece. You had that down. It was really kind of the words that, we needed to step in on, which was exciting for us.
Yeah, and I really appreciated, I just kind of like word vomited into that Google Doc, and I talk in lists, and I talk like straight to the point, and I needed to say that, but sometimes it can be a little harsh or just like, not so fluffy. And so I appreciated just being able to just brain dump on a Word doc, get my point across, and then you made it into these beautiful paragraphs and all over the website where it needed to be on each page.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you don't have much interest in writing, but there's a fair amount of copy on your website. This isn't necessarily just about translating like accounting services. This is also like your about page. Explain a little bit, because I think people may be wondering like, how does this necessarily work where, am I writing the same thing for every single client? How would I write like your about page, for example? Just talk about that process a little bit.
Well, it was just, like I said, like the brain dumping on there. A lot of my about page that I wanted to just tell the world was that, my business is just a byproduct of my other businesses. Our other businesses are, our Airbnb. My husband has his own business. And then we also have commercial real estate, land, real estate, all different types of like long-term rentals as well. So like each one of those, we had to do accounting and stuff. And I just had people, reaching out to me and just asking for help instead of me necessarily advertising. And so it was straight from referrals. But I just wanted to put my point across in the about me that like I didn't come here to be an accountant and to help people necessarily. This business just kind of like fell in my lap because I was already doing it. So yeah, that was kind of how the about me part came. And that's what I wanted to get across, is that like, I'm not just like laser focused on like bookkeeping, accounting, and tax. Like I know what it's like to be a business owner and to be in the trenches and be making like business owner decisions and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I mean, that's essentially like what you wrote on the Word doc. Like I said, literally like, just tell me about yourself. And it was, I mean, essentially what you just said. And if you go look at her website, which we'll have linked in the show notes, we arrange it kind of in a way that makes, you don't talk how you read, or you don't read how you talk. That makes it a really digestible way. And also kind of keeping things like SEO in mind, not having a whole bunch of like huge paragraphs and just different things like that maybe you wouldn't consider when you're writing for a website, especially if you don't like writing.
Yes. And I know nothing about SEO and all of that stuff. So I definitely needed your help.
Yeah. No, so I mean, it was something else that was really fun with your website is you were very clear on your niche. And a lot of times when we're talking to clients, they're sort of picking things that maybe they enjoy, or they had one client that they really liked. But I mean, as you said, your niche is really intertwined with just your life experience. Did you ever, let me back up. Can you please share with us your two niches and then also how you came to each one? Because one you mentioned was real estate, but talk about the other one and how you kind of decided on that one.
Yeah, so I do real estate, long-term, short-term real estate, Airbnbs, VRBOs. I do that just because I know it. I have one. I'm in the Airbnb algorithm along with everyone else, all trying to keep up with the new updates. But then also I am falling into a marketing agency, social media help, social media managers niche as well. I've just been really able to connect with those people and enjoyed working with them, understanding their systems, what they're using, and being able to really help them. And I've enjoyed it. So I'm running with it.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. I think maybe something why I think you're particularly good for that niche is because you like the creative and the design process. And I mean, there's so much in that, and not just with your bookkeeping business.
Canva.
You love Canva. Yeah. Like you guys can go to a Canva conference together.
Love to invite me, bring me with you.
Yeah. No, there's actually one in LA that I'm like fingers crossed going to. That was a side note.
That would be awesome.
You have a lot in common with the marketing agency people. And so it's not necessarily out of the realm for you guys to find something to talk about and have a sort of rapport that you build on those consultation calls. And that's something that I definitely encourage when people are looking for a niche. Find someone that you can actually like, or find a group of people where you could actually just shoot the kids, people have kids listening, but just talk, about things that you're interested in. And I imagine like with a lot of these marketing agencies, you have plenty to talk about. Yeah. Into the creative stuff.
And because like, honestly, they're staging stuff all the time. I'm doing the same thing with my Airbnbs. Like I go and stage that and have to like make it look beautiful and stuff like that. So it directly relates to each other. So it's been a fun time.
Yeah. And I mean, for your Airbnbs, do you have to do like marketing or does it just run itself on I don't know much about it.
There is like ways to get it pushed higher on the algorithm. That's why I said like we're all in the algorithm trying to learn it. It's kind of like Instagram, it's like constantly changing and, how do you get your stuff to pop up? That's exactly how it is with Airbnb and knowing their rules, and they are constantly changing it. But yes, you can advertise it. And then also it's really just based on how many stays that you have and how many 5-star reviews that you have.
Yeah.
So it's just playing the Airbnb game, baby.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is a lot, honestly, just like the online marketing space. When it comes to like reviews, people are saying, do I put reviews on Facebook or Google or like how should I collect reviews? You should be setting up a Google business profile and sending reviews there because that helps your SEO on Google. You're going to get ranked higher. They're going to see people are actually using your business, reviewing it. And I imagine it's the same thing with Airbnb.
Exactly.
I mean, as you said, more people stay there, more people like it.
Yeah.
They'll push you forward.
And it's not just Airbnb, it's VRBO as well, but it also kind of depends on where your Airbnb is located. It can be higher Airbnb ratio to VRBO, or it can be, depending on location, higher VRBO ratio to Airbnb, et cetera.
Yeah.
So, the sky's the limit on things that it affects.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, real estate is probably, that's for another podcast. I have one rental property and it's a long-term, it's not short-term, and the short-term rentals stress me out. It's that accounting. I want to be conservative. I just want to make sure there's going to be reoccurring revenue each month. And so good for you. You guys are risk takers. Something else I want to talk about with your website that I think a lot of people don't value too much, and you seem to like already have a plan with this, is your brand photos. Your brand photos do an exceptional job at like bringing everything together. Because when you came to us, you had Woodfern Accounting Solutions. You already had the name, you already had a logo and sort of a color palette brand style guide. And we wanted to go with this sort of foresty green,
deep,
zen.
It was like black, and like moody almost. And tons of greenery, foliage, however you say that word.
Leaves.
Show my plant mom life.
It's like a subtle nod to money. Like, like a lot of green around here. But I mean, so you had like your brand, and then our job was really the website. And then there's this other piece, which is the brand photos, which I mean, you don't just use for your website, but you also like had a plan for putting that all together. First, what inspired you, or what was really the push that made you decide to do brand photos? And how was that planning process like in incorporating like the brand and your website and your brand photos? Because they all are very cohesive.
So I had my colors, like you said, already kind of picked out. I knew that what vibe I wanted. So I made a Pinterest board, and I added you on it. And I also added the photographer, Brooke Mullins, who I absolutely love her. And she came, and I shared the Pinterest page with her. And I just put like vibes on this page. Like it was just like a huge banana plant. Like, how does a huge banana plant have anything to do with an accounting firm? Nothing. Like, that was like my vibe, that like, this is me, this is who I am, and like, this is what I want to surround myself with.
Mhm.
And so I kind of thought of like my website as like, what do you want to surround yourself with things that like spark joy in your life, right? So like
Mhm.
I wanted my website to like wrap their arms around me like that. Like, so I just created things that I loved, kind of things that I also created photos. Like I just like Googled headshots and poses because I can be like super awkward.
What do I do with my hands? Yeah.
Where does this go? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know where this goes. Like, it was terrible. But everywhere we went, I just brought my little laptop around and like put it on the floor right next to me. So I was like, let's try this one. We tried this, we tried
Yeah.
all the poses and it like actually worked out, which is really just doing your homework,
Yeah. Yeah.
like so I did the poses, I did the vibes, and I did some websites that I liked. And then I also posted on there some stuff that I hated.
Yeah.
Because it's really easy for me sometimes, instead of making a decision, if I can communicate what I don't want, then that can help me make decisions.
Yeah.
So yeah, just that mood board on Pinterest was so helpful to like get it all together. And let's be honest, in like staging a house, staging brand photos, like if you notice, like all those plants are not always around me at all times. They may or may not live in my sunroom that gets all the direct sunlight so they can actually live. But it's like staging that stuff for the photos is like what makes your vibe and stuff. So just like you have to actually sit in the photo, which is kind of weird. But
yeah. Well, that was kind of the thing that I loved about your photos is I was like looking through them and you hadn't told me that you did as much staging as you did. And I'm like, her house is like really pretty and she has so many plants and like she's keeping these plants alive, like in her kitchen. Yeah. Like good job. Like there's no sunlight. How do you do it? And you're like, oh no, like I moved everything like after every photo.
Yeah. The pots were like 30 pounds. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like that's I think something that is really important to keep in mind is if you're like trying to figure out your brand photos or you're like, oh, I only like one corner of my house, move everything around. Your brand photos, it's a whole day project. And like if you go to her website, you're going to notice there's a lot of greenery. There's a lot of greenery in her brand. I mean, the name is Woodfern Accounting Solutions. And so just bringing those elements and like, as she said, staging it for all of her brand photos, you'll see that like the brand, it was established first, but you can tell that the website refers to the brand photos refer to the brand, everything is connected. It's not really like, you built a website and then you have these awkward stock photos that don't really seem to fit and they're just very stuffy. It's all very cohesive and works really well together.
And like some of the brand photos too are literally like in the corner of my house right next to some big doors with windows and it like the natural light was just hitting right there and I took one of my nice office chairs, like not the wheelie one but like the cute ones, and I put that in front of the cabinetry. And it's just like, we made a little setup right there because the sun was good. The background was that creamy brown that I kind of wanted. And it was just like, that was our corner. And it was just like a random corner in my house that like no one sits in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's in front of cabinets. You can't sit there.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. The brand photos, look through them. You'll be like, no one's going to sit in that corner on a day-to-day basis, but would not even notice. Like so many remote workers, I am picky when it comes to my tech. I want a simple user interface, something that integrates with all the apps I'm already using, and I don't want to be nickel and dimed for every feature. I have run campaigns for plenty of accounting firms and used nearly every app under the sun, but for the past 4 years, I have been using Flowdesk at MediaBooks. Flowdesk offers a minimalistic user interface that does not cut back on any features. With workflows, automations, email campaigns, and advanced analytics, all for one price, I have no plans on switching anytime soon. And if you want to check out Flowdesk, you can get 50% off for your first year by simply clicking the link in the show notes. I also want to talk about Squarespace and kind of your experience with Squarespace. And first, typically our process with web design is we will design your website. And then at the end of the project, we will give you access to Squarespace. And a lot of the thinking is essentially very similar to what accountants experience with their clients is you don't want your client going in there and fidgeting too much with the settings or the financials. And you want to wait until like the project's done. And you can't really do that with month to month bookkeeping, but that's kind of was our thinking is, we want to kind of have your website done and ready and then hand it over to you. And for your project, we were experiencing so many issues with your domain that I was like, I need to give her full access. I cannot wait till the end. And I gave her full access, and it actually has changed our complete process. And now our clients have access to Squarespace. Yeah, from the beginning.
Wow.
Because, well, I was like, we made a mistake because you really jumped in like during the design process, learned Squarespace. And by the end, it seemed like from our end, you were so much more comfortable with the platform than clients have been in the past. And I mean, I want you to be able to use Squarespace. I want you to be able to use your website afterwards.
Yeah.
And so talk about that on your end, what that was like, because you had never used Squarespace before, right?
Correct. I have never used Squarespace, had no idea what website platform to use because there's 1,000 of those out there. Like,
Yeah.
Good grief. Like, how do you even choose one? So I just kind of went with your recommendation and ran with it. And then during the process, one thing that really helped us was the Loom videos. And so I will put a shout out to you should have Loom. I love Loom.
Yeah.
And that was great communication. So then I could show you my screen and talk to you at the same time if in case we weren't able to match up our schedules. So one, that was great. And then two, my thought process was, she's making my website right now. And as soon as she's done, I know that like our contract was like kind of like peace unless I signed up for the maintenance plan.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I got to ask this girl as many questions as I can because I'm paying her now and I may not be having a maintenance for the rest of my life. So I needed to be able to pick your brain and learn as much as I could while I had access to you.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to be able to kind of like go in and fix things and add things while you were holding my hand. Mm-hmm. Because if I did like F it up, then I was like, oh my God, Kristen, help me fix this. Yeah. But thankfully that didn't happen.
No. I mean, and that's like, honestly, like our fears were a little bit maybe we were a little bit too controlling with that. Cause like the worst thing you could do is delete the website, but like, just don't hit the trash can button and it'll be fine. Everything else was fixable. And really, at the end of our design process, we provide you with a training video. And for your training video, I mean, I threw out our old script because you already knew how to do a lot of the basics that we usually include in the training video. So it was like I was able to teach you more advanced stuff. And I felt like, okay, like she's going to be able to manage her website. Like she's going to be able to change a picture. We're not going to get, every once in a while we will get an email like a month later saying, hey, this isn't working. Or, like we just finished. And it's like, oh, like this, you just changed some text like this way. But it seemed like you were very confident with even the more advanced stuff. So,
yeah. And I appreciate all your help with it.
Oh, of course. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really smart on your behalf to be able to change your processes.
Yeah.
To keep up to date with like, kind of what's going on and what's real.
Yeah.
And so like being able to learn and identify that and grow and make your business better is very important.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Yeah. I mean, it was definitely a unique experience just because we don't work with a lot of people who are creative, and then also being able to collab with you throughout the web design process and on Squarespace. It was a different experience, but it was also a very good like learning experience for us. And it was so funny because like there's one website we did years ago that like we still get tons of compliments on. It's a very popular website. And the girl whose website it is, she saw your website and she was like, oh my gosh, this is so pretty. I love it. And I was like, hey, we're leveling up. It was exciting for me.
Yeah, it is awesome.
But yeah,
I would love to see her website.
Yeah, no, it was Sarah from Tatum Accounting. So I'll send you her website. But yeah, no, she has, and that's another thing with her website is, I mean, she's done brand photos, and everything with her website is very cohesive. And I mean, it all comes back to making sure you're really confident in your brand, your audience, and I think keeping with the theme, keeping with the same subject, coming back to that same thing is helpful.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you again, Carmen, for taking the time to talk with me. So I do want to give a quick shout out to Carmen's Airbnb. I spent a lot of time checking out your place while putting together your website. It is a beautiful 7-bedroom, 4.5 bath that sleeps 21 people. It is
Yes.
in the heart of the Triad area of North Carolina between Greensboro and High Point. Perfect for family trips, sports teams, corporate housing, you name it. They have had them stay there before. Super large, fully furnished, equipped kitchen, and anything you would need to have a huge, living area, hang out, great time with everyone's space. I'll say, I checked out a ton of the photos when we were putting together her website. It's a nice, cozy space that I think I'll definitely be staying at if I'm ever in the area. I need to make it to the East Coast. But check out Carmen's website. It's woodfernaccountingsolutions.com. She is also on Instagram at Woodfern Accounting Solutions. Thanks so much, Carmen.
Thank you, Kristen, for having me.
I am very intentional in making sure whatever marketing tips and tricks I share are tailored to the accounting industry. And as a result, I have built a pretty awesome community of accountants and bookkeepers. And while I love sharing advice on how to improve your website or capture the next great lead, I know you may have other challenges facing your firm, which is why I love partnering with other service and product providers that support the accounting industry. If you are one of those professionals that focuses on serving accountants, I want you to know that MediaBooks now provides multiple advertisement opportunities. You can promote your podcast, app, or services on the MediaBooks podcast or our newsletter and grow your reach. To learn more, visit MediaBooksAgency.com/sponsors or check out the link in our show notes. There you can find our media kit and apply to be a sponsor. MediaBooks, the only place on the internet where creative accounting isn't a bad thing.